In the vast expanse of the South African desert, under a sky ablaze with stars, lay a hidden oasis surrounded by tall cliffs and dotted with acacia trees and shrubs. This oasis was life, a glimmering emerald in the heart of the desert, and it held the heart of the village. To the villagers, the oasis was more than water and trees. It was sacred, a place of deep ancestral connection, a bond between people and land. Young Shaka, named after his legendary ancestor, stood at the edge of the oasis, gazing at the reflection of the stars in the still water. He touched the cool surface with his fingers, feeling a sense of peace mixed with a weight he couldn't shake. His people believed he would carry on the spirit of his namesake, the great Shaka Zulu, known for his strength, wisdom, and courage. Yet, as he looked into his reflection, he saw only a young boy filled with questions. How could he ever live up to that legacy, he wondered, his heart heavy with doubt. He wasn't a warrior, and he didn't crave battles or the power that came with conquest. He only wanted to protect his home and his people, but he didn't know if he had what it took to do so. "Shaka," his mother's gentle voice called, interrupting his thoughts. She walked over and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Her eyes, wise and warm, were filled with love. "Remember, my son, true strength doesn't only come from a weapon. Sometimes real courage lies in protecting what you love without harming others." Shaka nodded, her words soothing some of his worries, but he still felt a twinge of uncertainty. Could he truly be the protector his people needed without taking up arms? Little did he know, he would soon face a test that would reveal the strength within him. One scorching afternoon, the peace of the oasis was shattered by a strange mechanical hum that echoed over the sand. Shaka looked up to see dark drones circling above, scanning the oasis with sharp red lights. His heart began to race as the villagers gathered, murmuring with fear and confusion. Then, as if out of thin air, a giant hologram flickered to life above them, casting a chilling blue glow over the village. A tall, cold-looking man appeared, his features sharp, his eyes devoid of warmth. He wore a stiff military uniform adorned with symbols of power, and his voice was as cutting as a blade. "People of the oasis," the figure boomed, sending shivers down Shaka's spine. "I am Colonel Grimstone, and I have come to claim what is mine. The minerals in your oasis are valuable, and I intend to take them. Surrender now, and you may be spared." Fear spread like wildfire through the village. The oasis was their lifeblood, their sanctuary. If Grimstone took it, they would be left with nothing. Shaka looked around, seeing the fear in the eyes of his people. His chest tightened, but then he remembered his mother's words, strength without harm. The colonel may have weapons, machines, and soldiers, but Shaka had the land, the people, and the wisdom of his ancestors. That night, under the stars, Shaka called his closest friends together. Naledi, an engineer with a mind as sharp as any blade, joined him, her eyes bright with determination. Beside her stood Kofi, a strategic thinker who knew every inch of the desert, as if it were an extension of his own body. Shaka took a deep breath, his voice steady as he explained his plan. "We're not going to fight Grimstone the way he expects. We'll use the power of the land and the stories of our ancestors. We'll create an illusion, a holographic army that will make him think twice before he steps onto our soil." Naledi's eyes sparkled with excitement. "We can project not just warriors, but mythical creatures, dragons, lions, eagles. Imagine an army of glowing, fierce beings protecting the oasis." Kofi nodded thoughtfully. "If we position the holograms correctly and use the natural shadows of the desert, it will look as though the entire land is rising to defend itself." With determination, they set to work, setting up holographic projectors around the oasis. They chose each creature carefully, giving them meaning beyond their appearance. The dragons would represent wisdom and strength, the lions bravery and protection, and the eagles clarity and insight. As the moon rose, the projectors hummed to life, casting beams of light across the sands. Shaka watched as the holograms emerged, towering warriors with spears that glowed like fire, dragons with bioluminescent scales, and lions with manes that flickered in the dark. Each creature shimmered with life, their forms woven from light, sound, and ancient stories. The dragons spread their wings, casting shadows that seemed to stretch across the desert. The lions prowled with silent strength, their eyes blazing, while eagles soared above, their wings glowing against the night sky. Shaka stood at the heart of the oasis, feeling a surge of energy connect him to the holograms. He was no longer a boy burdened by his legacy. He was a leader, carrying the strength and spirit of his people. At dawn, Grimstone's forces marched toward the oasis, their heavy machines rumbling across the sand. The sight of the holographic army made them falter, unsure of what they were facing. Shaka took a deep breath, centering himself. With a gentle mental command, he directed the dragons to soar overhead, their wings casting beams of light that roared with power. The lions and warriors formed a protective wall around the oasis, their glowing eyes fixed on the approaching soldiers. Grimstone, observing from his command vehicle, scowled in frustration. "It's only an illusion," he muttered. But even he seemed rattled by the sight of the mythical army. He ordered his men to continue, determined to claim the oasis. As the machines rumbled closer, Shaka felt a pang of doubt. What if the holograms weren't enough? What if he couldn't protect his people? But then, as if sensing his fear, the holograms brightened, their lights pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He felt the energy of the oasis flowing through him, reminding him that he was not alone. With newfound courage, Shaka commanded the holographic dragons to encircle Grimstone's forces, creating a wall of light that disoriented the soldiers. The eagles swooped down, their wings slicing through the air while the lions roared, a sound that echoed across the desert like thunder. Grimstone's men, overwhelmed by the sight and sound of the holographic creatures, began to waver. Even Grimstone himself hesitated, his steely gaze faltering as he watched his men cower before the illusion. But Shaka wasn't done. He directed the dragons to unleash beams of light that made the very ground tremble. The warriors raised their spears, creating a barrier of shimmering light that seemed impenetrable. Finally, Grimstone's forces broke, retreating in fear and confusion. The oasis was safe. That evening, the village gathered around the oasis, the soft glow of the remaining holograms casting a gentle light over the celebration. Shaka's mother embraced him, pride shining in her eyes. "You have honored your ancestor, my son, not through violence but through courage and wisdom." Shaka looked around at his friends and family, his heart swelling with pride and gratitude. He had protected his people, not by becoming a warrior, but by embracing the strength that lay within him. As the stars sparkled above, Shaka sat by the oasis, feeling a sense of peace and belonging. He knew now that he didn't need to follow in his ancestors' exact footsteps. He could carry on the legacy of Shaka Zulu in his own way, with courage, creativity, and love for his people. He was not just a boy carrying a legacy. He was Shaka, protector of the oasis, a leader in his own right.